Morning. It's 9:01. I'd like to call to order the public hearing to receive public comments on options for proposed toll increase on the Golden Gate Bridge. Before we begin, please note this meeting is being recorded. Members of the public are encouraged to listen to the meeting by dialing into 415-569-6446 for the audio of the meeting. If you would like to provide public comment at today's public hearing, please call 415-569-6446 and let the facilitator know you would like to speak. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Thank you and good morning, everyone. Starting with Director Conroy. Is absent. Director Dorsey is absent. Engardio is absent. Garbarino.
Here.
Giudice.
Here.
Grosboll.
Here.
Hernandez.
Here.
Maston.
Here.
Moulton Peters is absent. Parr.
Present.
Verdoni.
Here.
Safai is absent. Snyder is absent. Stephanie is absent. Therio.
I'm back.
Thank you and welcome back. Fear is absent. Second Vice President Rabbit.
Here.
First Vice President Hill.
Here.
And President Cochran.
Here.
Thank you. Since you don't need a quorum, those are the folks present.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. As a reminder, the purpose of today's public hearing is to receive public comment on options for a proposed toll increase on the Golden Gate Bridge. Madam Secretary, please summarize the public outreach efforts for this public hearing.
Thank you. In compliance with district policy, public outreach was undertaken as follows. A notice of public hearing was posted to the district's website on February 1st. Legal notices were published in the San Francisco Chronicle, Marin Independent Journal, Santa Rosa Press Democrat, Napa Valley Register, and Ukiah Daily Journal on Thursday, February 1st, and Thursday, February 15th. A legal notice was also published in the Del Norte Triplicate on February 7th and February 15th. Legal notices were published on the Laval's website, referenced in social media posts, and included in the Laval's weekly reports for the period of Thursday, February 1st through Friday, February 23rd. Print ads were placed in the San Francisco Chronicle on February 4th, 7th, and 13th, Marin Independent Journal on February 7th, 9th, 11th, and 13th, Santa Rosa Press Democrat on February 7th, 11th, and 14th. Petaluma Argus Courier on February 9th, Del Norte Triplicate on February 14th, Ukiah Daily Journal on February 8th and 13th, Pacific Sun on February 7th and 14th, La Prensa on February 7th and 14th, Laval's on February 12th, and Singtel Daily on February 8th and 13th. We also posted digital ads on the San Francisco Chronicle, Marin Independent Journal, Santa Rosa Press Democrat, and Petaluma Argus Courier from February 7th through February 13th. A news item also posted on the district's website on February 1st, and a press release was sent to local media on Monday, February 12th. That's a lot. I took a break on that one. Also, an article was published in the district's customers newsletter, the Gazette, on February 2nd. Email blasts were sent to customers on February 8th and 13th and posted on Facebook and X, formerly known as Twitter, on February 8th and 13th. Virtual open houses were held via Zoom on Wednesday, February 14th from noon to 1 o'clock and Thursday, February 15th from 7 to 8 p.m. And recordings of both meetings are posted on the district's website. The staff report is also available in Spanish as per the district's language implementation plan. And the open house toll program presentation is available on the district's website in English, Spanish, Chinese, and Vietnamese. Period.
Thank you. Attorney Manolis, does this public outreach described by the district secretary meet the district's legal requirements for calling this a public hearing?
Yes, the district's efforts are more than sufficient.
Good. Thank you. Madam Secretary, has there been any correspondence relative to the proposal?
Yes, as close of business yesterday, February 21st, we received 134 comments relative to the topic of this hearing, and Jennifer Minucci is going to go over the breakdown of these comments during her presentation. Please note that although the comment period does conclude on Friday, February 23rd at 4:30, staff will include any further comments received beyond that relative to this public hearing or this topic and included in the staff report for the Finance Auditing Committee for its consideration on March 21st and for any subsequent board action on the following day on March 22nd.
Thank you. Before proceeding with the public hearing, Director of Budget and Electronic Revenue, Jennifer Minucci, will provide a brief overview of the proposal. The presentation is online on the district website. Ms. Minucci.
Thank you, President Cochran. And good morning, directors. I will be sharing a brief presentation and information about the district's finances and the proposed toll program options before you receive public comment this morning. This is the same presentation that was given at the 2 virtual open houses last week. The presentation is also available in multiple languages on the district's website, along with recordings of the virtual open houses. So to start, we want to share a little bit about our agency and what makes us unique compared to other transit agencies. The Bridge District is a California special district established in 1928, specifically to build, maintain, and operate the Golden Gate Bridge. In the 1970s, we added a bus and ferry transit service between the North Bay and San Francisco, Golden Gate Ferry and Golden Gate Transit. Our mission is to provide safe and reliable operation, maintenance, and enhancement of the Golden Gate Bridge and provide transportation services as resources allow for customers within the U.S. Highway 101 Golden Gate corridor. The reason we're here today is because the district is facing a $220 million 5-year projected shortfall. We require additional revenue to continue to fund operations and capital projects for the Golden Gate Bridge and our bus and ferry transit services. It is important to note that unlike many other transit agencies, we do not receive any dedicated state or local tax revenue. This makes toll revenues especially important for us to be able to provide our services. We are a toll-funded infrastructure and toll transit agency, with the majority of our revenue coming in from bridge tolls. Approximately 2/3 of our annual toll revenue is used to maintain and operate the Golden Gate Bridge, within the remaining third used to operate Golden Gate bus and ferry transit services. Bridge traffic and associated toll revenues are down after the pandemic. Bridge traffic today is 80 to 85%, and transit ridership is about half of pre-COVID levels. And our toll revenues are down approximately $900,000 per week. Still, the cost of operating our services go up a bit every year due to inflation. This includes costs for paint and steel for the bridge, fuel for our buses and ferries, and staff who operate our district services. Recognizing that running empty buses and boats isn't good for the environment and our finances, we have also taken steps to reduce our expenses by adjusting transit service to meet customer demand, and we are bringing back service incrementally as customer demand returns. We are grateful to have received one-time federal funding that covered declines in revenue, but those funds will be exhausted this year. We will need to find new revenue sources to maintain our service levels. It's worth noting that all proposed toll options will only raise a portion of the projected shortfall, and we will need to find other ways to raise revenues or reduce expenses in addition to a new toll program. The charts on the screen show how we are funded and how we spend our money. In the chart to your left, the large orange slice is the portion of the district's revenue that will come from the bridge tolls this year. As you can see, that tolls are our primary source of revenues. The dark blue slice of the pie says ARP third tranche. That represents one-time federal funding that has helped fill the gap from lower toll and transit fare revenue after the pandemic. Those funds are approximate to run out this year. The chart on the right shows how the district spends its money. It is important to note that this chart shows overall district spending, including bridge tolls, but not exclusively. As noted earlier, about 2/3 of the bridge tolls revenue are spent to maintain and operate the Golden Gate Bridge, and the other third is used to fund the district bus and ferry transit service. The Golden Gate Bridge is both an international icon and a key transportation link between the North Bay and San Francisco. Over 37 million vehicles cross the Golden Gate Bridge every year. The Golden Gate Bridge requires ongoing maintenance and operational support to keep the public safe and ensure the bridge can be used and enjoyed by future generations. Some examples of regular maintenance activities include replacing steel in critical areas of the bridge, constant painting due to steel corrosion in the salty air and fog, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week security staff that provide public safety, and roadway services responding to collisions and assist the public with incidents on the bridge roadway. A few benefits of the district's transit services include provide an affordable and comfortable alternative to driving, reduces traffic on the 101 corridor. As an example, before the pandemic, our buses and ferries removed over 20% of vehicles from the Golden Gate Bridge during the morning commute. Reducing greenhouse gas emissions and providing equity in the community and meet the needs of transit-dependent customers who don't have access to a vehicle. We have and will continue to bring transit service back as customer demand returns. In the past, bridge tolls funded half the cost of bridges, bus, and ferry transit services. Post-pandemic, due to the overall decline in revenues, tolls are only funding about 35% of the cost of transit services. We were able to weather the pandemic because of the one-time federal emergency relief funding, but those funds will be exhausted this year. Tolls help us maintain the Golden Gate Bridge and continue to operate our transit services, which reduce congestion in the 101 corridor and support equity in the community. Tolls also help fund major capital projects, such as the final phase of the Golden Gate Bridge seismic retrofit and the San Rafael Transit Center relocation project. For example, today, the Golden Gate Bridge can safely withstand a large earthquake, but it could sustain damage that would require the bridge to close for an extended period or need to be replaced altogether. Toll dollars help fund a portion of the final phase of the seismic retrofit, which is expected to begin construction in late 2024. The seismic retrofit will also repaint the South Tower, which we know many of you are eager to see. The San Rafael Transit Center is the second busiest regional bus hub in the Bay Area, with rail, bus, bike, and pedestrian connections. We are looking on plans to relocate and redesign the existing San Rafael Transit Center, which will feature improved and expanded bus facilities, enhanced seating, shelters, public plazas, and safe bike and pedestrian amenities. Bridge tolls will help fund the design and construction of the improved transit center. Many of the ferry vessels in the district's fleet are getting old and need to be replaced. Bridge tolls help us replace or repower our current ferry fleet with fuel-efficient vehicles that reduce greenhouse gas emissions and improve the passenger experience. Bridge tolls also allow us to dredge the Larkspur Ferry Channel, which is required every 4 years to keep up our ferry services running. You can see a photo of some dredging that occurred last year in the photo to the right. Next, we'll go through the 4 proposed toll options. The options are ordered from the highest increase to lowest. It's worth noting that the vast majority of our customers, over 80%, have fast track accounts and pay the lowest of the 3 toll rates. Option 1, the highest increase proposed, would increase tolls 50 cents per year and raise approximately $139 million over 5 years. Option 2 would raise tolls 40 cents per year and raise approximately $114 million over 5 years. Option 3 would increase tolls by 4% annually, roughly the current rate of inflation, or between 35 and 40 cents per year, and raise $107 million over 5 years. Option 4 would increase tolls by 35 cents per year and raise approximately $101 million over 5 years. The public may submit a comment on the proposals by providing a comment at today's public hearing, by completing our survey online at goldengate.org/toll-increase, sending an email to publichearing@goldengate.org, or writing the district secretary. Commenting on the toll program proposal remains open through February 23rd, 2024. All comments will be considered equally no matter where they are submitted. After the public comment period closes on February 23rd, staff will consolidate all the feedback and present a summary of the comments at the March 21st, 2024 Finance Auditing Committee. At that meeting, the committee will decide whether to recommend action on any of the 4 proposals. If the Finance Auditing Committee recommends one of the 4 proposals to move forward, the item would then be brought to the full Board of Director meeting on March 22nd, 2024 for adoption. If approved, any new toll program would go into effect on July 1st of this year. As the district secretary noted, the district has received 134 comments as of close of business day yesterday. These include 69 public comments received through online feedback forms, 29 comments from the virtual open houses, and 36 emails to the public hearing at goldengate.org email box. Thus far, questions and comments have focused on several topics, including how the district has and will continue to reduce costs moving forward, how the district can identify new sources of revenue outside of tolling of vehicles, how the district can find efficiencies in its transit services, and how to improve coordination with other transit agencies. A full summary of the public comments will be provided at the March Finance Auditing Committee meeting. That concludes my presentation, and I will hand over the public hearing back to President Cochran.
Thank you, Ms. Minucci. Are there any additional comments by staff?
No, I look forward to hearing from the public.
Okay. Since this is a public hearing, is to receive public comment on the subject matter, I ask my colleagues to hold their comments or questions for staff until matters return to the Finance Auditing Committee in March for their consideration. Before we begin, Madam Secretary, how many members of the public would like to speak under public comment?
I have one speaker card with us today in the room, and I believe Justine also has callers on the line. And I'll do the ones in the room first before we actually go to the ones on the line. So without further ado, I'm going to outline the public hearing process. And we're just going to say there's going to be one speaker at a time, and appreciate it if the speaker stays on topic. And if possible, we'd like to ask the speaker to state his or her full name. And if representing an organization, state the full name of the organization. And then please honor the 3-minute comment period allowed for each speaker. And a timer will go off. It won't go off, actually. There's a light at the end of the table, and it's going to blink red when it's over. Then we're going to switch to the online commenters. I'm going to call on anyone in the room, as I said first, before I turn things over to Justine, who's on the line. I'm going to call on Michael Brook, who's our first speaker.
Thank you for having me. My name is Michael Brook, and I'm representing myself. Thank you. We're failing when we continue to think about the Golden Gate Bridge in a narrow manner. It's not just a bridge. It's an architectural marvel, an icon, one of the 7 modern wonders of the world. It's a structure that draws people who see it, who wonder at the idea of looking at its towers and rejoice at the experience of crossing it and viewing the city from its magnificent vantage point. I cross the bridge almost daily for work. I often have to pinch myself for the privilege of seeing it and never tire of the sight, particularly the romance of the foggy nights. It's one of the main draws for tourists to continue to come to San Francisco despite its problems, and serves as an economic engine for the city, and more importantly, for the entire region and state. To continue refusing to capitalize on that popularity is naive and short-sighted. It's the only wonder of the world, both modern and ancient, that is actually free to visit. We're giving away a tremendous asset that could easily and painlessly be monetized in a way that would help sustain it. It would also raise tens of millions of dollars per year. Even a token pedestrian fee, such as $1, would be gladly paid by anyone for the experience of a lifetime to visit and cross this marvel. As stated, car tolls are not going to be sufficient to meet the shortfall. Therefore, the board should consider new toll sources. The idea that the state wants to prevent this in the name of recreation and health is narrow-minded and an easy political volley by someone who doesn't need or probably want to use the bridge, but sees it as a way simply as an icon for the North Bay population to get to the city. We should be thinking broadly about how to utilize the bridge to support the district, rather than simply continue to rely on those who must use the bridge for the convenience of those who choose to use the bridge for recreation and enjoyment. It's also time to request more help from the state that benefits financially from the bridge and the draw. To continue to rely exclusively on car bridge tolls for support will not only irrevocably harm the economics of the North Bay community, but will also ultimately fail to sustain the bridge for future generations. Therefore, I propose the following: that the district board explain to the region and the state of California the benefits that the bridge provides to everyone and the need for a cooperative solution to maintain this unique asset. Second, that a delegation from the bridge district attend the hearings on AB 2669 and insist that the bridge be removed from the bill to allow the bridge district to have all options available for future solvency. Third, that a nominal fee for pedestrians and bicyclists to cross the bridge be considered, and that local residents who must use it or use it regularly for health, as advocated by Representative Ting, could purchase a pass with a reduced monthly fee. Thank you for your attention and for your effort.
Thank you, Mr. Brooks.
Are there any other speakers in the room who would like to also provide a public comment? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to turn things over to Justine, who's on the public line on the phone. Justine?
Good morning. Thank you. Our first speaker is David Pilpel. David, go ahead.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Great. Good morning. David Pilpel from San Francisco. Some brief thoughts. I had a number of comments and questions at the online open house last Wednesday. Thanks to staff for having the open house events and addressing public comments and questions directly. I am generally supportive of a toll increase proposal. It is a primary income source for the district. Assuming the toll increase generates about half the projected deficit, or about 110 million over the 5-year period, the district will need to find other ways to increase revenue and reduce costs to cover the other half. That is a big challenge, and I hope the developing strategic financial plan will address it head on. One of my primary concerns today is reinforcing the need for ferry transit fares to cover 50% of their operating costs and bus transit fares to cover 25% of their operating costs per longtime district policy. The other concern is that pay-as-you-go and invoice customers cover the incremental costs of those toll collection methods. I do not think it is fair for fast-track customers to subsidize the other customers. I know that most are fast-track transactions, the vast majority, but I suspect the 25-cent and $1 surcharges for pay-as-you-go and invoice are insufficient to cover the incremental costs there. I will try to prepare a brief comment letter to summarize my thoughts. I did notice that page 2 of the agenda for today, not the notice, but the agenda itself, on page 2 still has the comment deadline of February 24th, 2023, probably carried over from an agenda from last year, and that should read February 23rd, 2024. The deadline for comments is 4:30 p.m. tomorrow, February 23rd, 2024. Those are my thoughts. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, David.
President Cochran, we have had a few people join after the start. Would you mind if I pulled the room again?
Please.
Thank you. Is there anyone that's joined us that would like to speak this morning? Please use ** and give me your name. Again, if anyone has joined us that would like to speak at the public hearing, please use ** to unmute yourself and let me know. Okay, I'm not hearing anybody else. Thank you.
Okay, with that, the public comment portion of this public hearing is now closed. Madam Secretary, please summarize the next step in this process.
Thank you. And I thank David Pilfel for keeping me honest. As mentioned earlier, the public comment period closes at 4:30 tomorrow, Friday 23rd. Staff will evaluate all comments received and determine whether changes or modifications need to be made to the proposal. A final recommendation that includes a summary of public comments received is scheduled to be brought forward to the Finance Auditing Committee at its March 21st meeting and then forwarded to the full board the next day. At this time, we anticipate both meetings to be held here in this room in person on their scheduled meeting dates with an audio option for other people to attend.
Great, thank you, Madam Secretary. And with that, I thank everyone for taking the time to join us this morning. This concludes the public hearing. The time is 9:25.